going on, everybody? You are live with Osiris. Welcome to the Author's Lounge. The world is filled with storytellers, and I, along with my guests, are here today in the Author's Lounge to help educate and inspire the young generation of writers and creators. Now, my guests are professionals in publishing, writers from a wide range of formats, and successful entertainers. They will provide beneficial advice on what to do and what not to do on your path to success. So, without further ado, I'll present to you our next guest. Let's go.
I cannot wait to do this one. So I have a good friend of mine, family friends of mine. It's the Finnegan family. Young author Willa R. Finnegan is the only author who I know that does fantasy. Until now, my man here, he has won over 20 book awards. So think about that. It's a lot. Not to gas him up, but that's quite the accomplishment. But he's a multi-time award-winning author and best-selling. Have you hit that status? I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely
Not
not.
yet. Not yet. Well, you will someday. Soon to be best-selling author. We got a multi-time award-winning, soon to be best-selling author, fantasy author more specific. I present to you the wonderful Mr. David V. Mammina. What's going on, sir?
Wow, that was a heck of an introduction. I don't know what to say. You really did butter me up on that one. So thanks a lot. It's really an absolute pleasure to be here. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. And so sometimes during recordings, there may be a bit of a delay. So I apologize to you and to the listeners if it seems like there's a bit of a delay in between us speaking. So, but aside from that, let's hop right into it, because one of the things I want to know from the mind of an author who does fantasy and world building within fantasy is, how did you even get to the point where you realized that I want to write within the fantasy genre?
That's a great question. I believe it was when I was a child. I played a lot of fantasy games. I read a lot of fantasy books. I was always into the imaginatory world. My imagination was too big for its own good. So I think I always had this creator mind to get involved some way in things that are greater than what's going on around us. I think we all want an escape, and that was my idea. How do I escape? And I thought, maybe I should start doing some free writes, some creative writing. And in high school, my English teacher, Mr. Sullivan, he noticed I was writing, and he got excited, and he wanted to tutor me and help me hone my craft, I guess you can say. And that's when I really started to take it seriously and get into the fantasy writing genre.
I love the idea that you played video games and you read the books and the imagination started to run rampant. I'm a video gamer as well, especially when I was younger. So granted, I don't write within the fantasy genre per se. I love the idea of fantasy stories, like such as some stories that come to mind that I've grown up around was like Legend of Zelda, for example. I know that world of fantasy was something I was into, or Castlevania and that dark fantasy. But the fantasy genre has always been fascinating to me, and the idea of world building is even greater. So how do you come up with the idea of creating worlds? Like, what goes into your mind when you are world building?
That's another great question. I think what happens is I first get this idea of a conflict and a couple of characters. I don't usually look to actually build anything. These ideas just come into my head, and I start to write them down. And what happens is, like a painter does with a paintbrush, they start to see something take shape. And that's when the real sandbox starts to happen for me. And I think, wow, what would happen if there was a necromancer that was seen as a villain, as an evil person in a
Mhm.
steampunk Victorian era type of, you know,
Mhm.
setting, I guess. And what if he was the hero in this one, in that he had to rescue his nemesis, the person he hates the most?
Mhm.
What would
Wow.
what would happen that would essentially make him have to rescue someone that he despises, which essentially is a
Mhm.
hero? And what if then he goes to rescue her and actually snaps a little bit when he finds out what they did to her and the sort of
Mhm.
condition she's in? Does he then
Mhm.
become her hero? Does he then become our heroes, or is it still a gray area there, or is he just a bad guy that's having a moment of clarity? And these things start to come
Yeah.
to me, and I start to build these characters around him. So I think it's the character. If you could imagine a
Mhm.
character in the darkness with a spotlight on them, and then you start to expand on that. Where does he live? What kind of environment is around him, and how does it affect him? And what other characters
Mhm.
are there? And eventually, from the character spawns this world. And the more you write, the more the world begins to form around you, which
Mhm.
I which I really love. That's why
Yeah.
I know we were talking a little bit earlier. That's why this book that I'm writing now is taking me a little longer, because the
Mhm.
world is beckoning me to be a part of it, and I can't rush through it.
Wow.
I have to get everything on paper.
Man, I can just feel the goosebumps on the side of my right face, the right side of my face right now, and I feel the goosebumps on
Okay.
my thighs. Man, this is this is awesome. This is awesome. I wholeheartedly love the process of creation, especially when it comes to storytelling, whether that's a screenplay for a movie or a play for theater, or or if we're just talking writing a manuscript for a book. Just the idea of creating a story is just so fascinating, because you just never know where the person's mind is going to take them. That is especially true if the individual is a pantser versus being a plotzer. And for those who aren't aware of that little that lingo, being a pantser is someone who pretty much they write without, they have like just a minimal direction of where they're going to go. Like, hey, give me a topic and I'll write. Requires no plotting. Just ideas come and the story develops as they're writing it. It's a plotter, as you can imagine, somebody who goes through and they plot the story out, and they mold the story based on how they put it together. That's not how I do it. My brain would fry. Now, for you, is that how do you operate? Do you operate,
No.
David, as somebody who plots, or as a pantser? Maybe a mixture of both, but which one's more dominant?
Mm. I'll tell you what, you asked the right questions for this kind of thing, so that's great.
Oh.
Um, I would say I am a little bit of both. However, um, I'm a big proponent of the outline. Outlining has
Mhm.
changed the game for me as far as writing goes. So I'll have an idea, I'll write it down, whether it's on my iPhone or a piece of paper or in a journal, and I'll look at that, I'll think about it, and I'll plot out where I'd like to go. I don't have to plot the
Mhm.
ending. Uh, Very rarely do I know what the ending is going to be, believe it or not. I have a feeling of what it's
Yeah.
going to be, but I like the feeling of being able to change and let the
Mhm.
story, usually halfway through, sort of, like I had said before, sort of lead me there. And the characters, after a while, will start to lead me there. So I like to outline, but I also like to see where it's going. So I give myself the freedom to change things if I have to. I kind of
Mhm.
give myself that permission to do so. And I think every writer
Yeah.
should give themselves that permission to change, to edit when they want. That's what I do.
Yes, sir. Now, I appreciate that breakdown, and I think it's important to note that every writer is different, and how David does it may not work for anyone else, but you got to deal with what works for you and your writing, and understanding the capabilities of your imagination and just trusting your instincts. Yeah, I when I write stories, also, man, I don't necessarily know how it's going to end, or maybe, man, like I wrote a graphic novel, right, and I had the end, not the ending per se, but I had an idea of who was going to who was going to kill, or I don't know if I can say that phrase, who was going to take out the protagonist. The idea came to me almost instantaneously, but it was like, oh, okay, that's weird. I don't normally think about who's going to do what. It just, but sometimes it happens when you're writing. But I think what's even better in what you're describing is just you just enjoy the journey. You're not so caught up with I have to do this, I have to do it this way, I have to do it this way. You write, and it seems like in the way that you write, there's joy in discovery of writing it as you are. Wait, there is joy in the process of creating the story, and it doesn't seem that you're one to rush the process. And I think that's a good thing. But I wanted to follow up with another question, right? Because I see your books are in the back, and I also see that it has some award seals on those books as well. And awards change the game in many aspects. But for you, and you have over 20, that's a lot, man. That's a lot of awards. And congratulations to you on that. But how has it been for you being an award winning author in comparison to when you didn't have any awards? Are you more marketable with the awards? Does it make a difference? Or what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, you know what? I think of it like you're buying any sort of product. You want to
Mhm,
know that this is a product that has value, that it's worth your time. That's how I
mhm.
shop, at least. So when I see it's
Yeah.
award winning anything, I want to know what that award is.
Mhm,
For instance, I'm speaking to an award winning author right now. I'm talking to you. And I was very interested to hear about that because I like to know what someone found as far as their success. Because
mhm,
chances are, if they won an award in it, their soul is in it, that they
mhm,
actually put their heart and soul into something. They were very creative, but also very pragmatic and realistic on how it would be perceived. So the key is something I still have a lot of issues with is to market myself. It's a
mhm.
lot easier when you have an award because at least you can say, I'm worth your time.
Yeah.
People who judge over thousands of books found this one to be enjoyable and impactful.
Mhm,
And if they did, chances are you will too. And
mhm,
I can kind of say that when I go to conventions or when I try to sell it online. I'm
mhm.
trying to let people know this isn't a fluke. This isn't something I came up with and smacked it on a piece of paper and now I want you
Yeah.
to buy it. This is something I love. This is something that I will continue to do even without awards.
Mhm.
This is something that has led me to where all these books are. I'm currently
Mhm.
writing my 12th book, which might be my last one for a little while. So I say,
Yeah.
who knows? But
Yeah.
but the awards do. Oh, yeah, you won't understand.
Yes,
But
sir.
the awards do help that they give me some motivation. So it's not always how others will see it. Sometimes it's about you and you seeing that your work is meaningful and someone else
Mhm.
thought so and they actually stamped it with something. It's almost like a stamp of approval and it
Yeah.
just feels nice. So when I'm at conventions, I have the confidence to say this is an award winning book. I should keep my chin up and greet people and share this work with them. That's what these
Yeah.
awards have done.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what's even better about what you're talking about is now we're opening it up to conventions and actually being a vendor and presenting your books in person to people. You know, a lot of times what has happened, transpired over the years, is more of a demand to do things electronically or over the virtual airways, and getting books out by hosting live events. And these are all good things, by the way. This is no knock. So I don't want this to sound like I'm knocking you, because I enjoy this as well. But we're in that time frame where there'll be book giveaways through like online live events, or email listings or email signups, and send them ebooks. But there's something special when it is face to face, the reader with the author, and then that interaction between the author and their fan base, or newly garnered individuals that's going to become part of that fan base. There's just something special about that. Now, for you, um, how has it been for you, right, when you get to have those wonderful opportunities, not just to speak to your readers virtually, but to also have the opportunity to see them in person and talk to them? Like, what are some good stories that have happened for you during those encounters?
Oh yeah. Uh, something that I've learned, and I think uh, many people have already known this. But when you are selling something to other people, what you're really doing is selling yourself
Hmm.
first, and then you're selling what your product is. So how I see it is, my main job is to be a joy to be around. I want people to feel welcome. I want to have a nice conversation with them about this craft, about what we're doing now, fantasy,
Hmm.
science fiction, some horror. I love talking with people. And what happens is you've built a little bit of trust that way, and they're happy and they're feeling engaged. And then you can say, yeah, I'd love to share with you what I have. These are some things that I've done. And I've learned that when you offer them something, they're much more likely to come back to your booth, talk to you more, or
Hmm.
give your product a chance. You have
Yeah.
to remember, in conventions, people are being overloaded with sensory. There are things
Hmm.
everywhere. It's like you're in the marketplace, in the Middle East or something. There's like huge bazaars all over you. There's a lot of
Uh-huh.
pressure. Everyone's trying to make their money back from the booth that they have. The least you
Hmm.
can do is give them a smile and actually give them something. And I
Yeah.
like to give them a little something at the booth just to let them know that I appreciate them coming to the booth. I don't expect them to buy anything. And I
Yep.
think that's sort of the mentality I have, is there isn't any pressure anymore. I've taken the
Yeah.
pressure off myself. And I've learned that that way, when they see me enthusiastic and I tell them
Hmm.
what the synopsis of the story is, they're more inclined to buy some for themselves or for someone
Yes,
that they
sir.
know.
Yeah.
Much easier that way than selling it online to strangers.
Hmm.
I know it sounds sort of counterproductive, but I've learned that face to face, as you say, lets them in. It's sort of a welcome to say, oh, wow, this is
Hmm.
the guy. He can sign it right here.
Yeah.
I could have a discussion with this guy. So I think that's my answer. It's a really
Yeah.
nice, engaging way to sell yourself before your
Yes,
work.
sir. It's beautiful, man. And I love it. When you were talking, I was having flashbacks of when I was doing these festivals, the book fairs or book festivals. And one of the joys that I very much enjoyed was the interaction with the crowd of people who came to me. So I write in a multitude of genres, but in particular during that time when I was doing the book events, I was there having my poetry books on display and my children's books on display. And I had maybe some giveaways that coincide with the poetry, but my children's books, that was what took up predominantly most of the table. And what I learned was that it's not about is it I get it, it is a business and you want to make your money back. But to me, it wasn't about making money. It was about making connections with people and connecting with the people. And so I oftentimes gave away a lot of free material, and then I realized too that there were many people who were against the idea of taking it for free, and that they bought it anyway just because, hey, I really like what you represent, what you're doing. I'll just buy it off of you just because I like who you are as a person. And so it's to your point, David, about um, uh, to be when you're in the service of the people, then the service will make you the money. But if you are in the business of just trying to make the money off of the people, then you probably won't make any of the money. And so I say that the preference, just be who you are, because you are right. 1000%. It's, you are overly, there's just so much that's going into those festivals or those conventions, that you're overloaded with information. You're like, I don't know where to buy from. I don't know who to go to. This, but if you can just for a second breathe and meet them where they're at, even if they don't buy anything, if you want to give them something, whether it's just your time or a gift, I think that is just perfectly okay. If they're gonna want it, they'll somebody will buy something from you there. I don't believe you'll leave empty handed. But
Yes.
I digress. Do you have anything to add to that before I ask you just a couple more questions before I let you go?
No, I think you nailed it. I think what we're really talking about is loving what you do and sharing it with others. I think that's something you and I both share. So I really do
Mm.
appreciate that. And I really do appreciate talking to you.
Yes, sir. No, likewise. And for those who aren't aware, this is quite literally the first time David and I are speaking face to face. We spoke briefly,
Yeah,
like on, over the over social media, but this is our first conversation. It is just feels so natural. Feels so natural, man.
yeah, it does, truly.
Yes, sir. So, Vlad, two more questions for you. One is, how can people find you? How can they reach you, or where can they reach you? I know that's a multitude of questions, but pretty much the preference is, how can people find you?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. So, you could find me all over social media. That's how you got to do it these days. So,
Mhm.
my website is sort of like Penn Station. You go to the website, it's got everything on there. So, if you go to maminabooks.com, so my last name books.com, you'll see everything there. My YouTube, my Instagram. I'm on TikTok now, even though it took me forever to do that.
Same.
You have to go with the
Yep.
flow. So if you think I'm on it, I'm probably on it. So I would definitely
Hmm.
go to my website first. And I know that you and I were able to connect via Instagram. I definitely
Hmm.
spend a lot of my time on there. So that would be David V Mamina. That's it. That's my tag to everything. So that's where
Yeah.
you'll find me.
Yes, sir. And don't worry, to those who are the type that I just want to find it and click on it. It'll be in the description, at the top of the description, with a hyperlink. So as soon as you go there, you just got to click it. If it's on Instagram, because I know we can't do links with the Instagram on the descriptions, you can just click on the actual while it's up. I know this video is gonna last many years, but for now, as of 2025 in September, or October, whenever you're listening to this, it's going to be available through the link on the description of this episode, which is going to be on the Authors Lounge with Osiris on YouTube and wherever you listen to your audio streaming platforms. Okay, well, perfect, man. Well, I do have another question. You had mentioned something about social media, and I just wanted to ask really quick. Um, how important is it, in your opinion, today, to be omnipresent amongst different social media apps? Like, how important is that in your opinion?
So what I found through my experience is it's very difficult to spread yourself thin. You can go crazy putting yourself on all the different social media outlets. There's a lot of them. I recommend that you do, but I would also recommend that you find the one that works best for you and stick to that the most. So for me, I found Instagram has been really great. I found TikTok has been really great, and YouTube.
Mhm.
I have used Facebook, but I think that's my opinion. Use everything that you can, get out there, but when you find the thing that you're comfortable with, stick to that and give that most of your
Yep,
energy. And I think you'll find some
absolutely.
success that way.
Yes, sir. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. The importance today and what will help make the person more marketable is having a presence amongst the social media apps. Not to suggest that they should be active on every single one of them. You know, find one where that works, just much like you said. For me, I've learned that, so I just also started using TikTok as well. It's been fun, man. Actually, kind of learning the style and the things that go into it and what you can and can't post in comparison to YouTube and what their message is and the length of the video and copyright and all that extra stuff is it's fun to figure out. But yes, once you find what works for you, you should absolutely stick with it and build a presence. But the most important aspect in all of this, and David is right on the money, is you need to have your own website. If you're going to do this for real, long term, you need to have a website because if any of these social media platforms go down, your audience will disappear with that platform, and people have a short attention span, and they will forget about you even if they are frequently on your page. At some point, they'll be forgotten about. But if you have a spot where they can go to, where yep, you'll have to come out of pocket, but it's an investment, not just you're spending money or wasting it. It is a long-term investment on you as the person, you as your brand, and you as your business. So invest into a website engine. I don't know, maybe Weebly or Wix, Squarespace, GoDaddy. You know, GoDaddy is actually it is a thing. I'm not being facetious here, but just do your research and see what works for you all. But that's something that I would encourage everyone to have. Last question for you, good sir. Um, as we close out, as I mentioned, personally know only one other author who does fantasy. So, in the space of fantasy, and this may be applicable to writers all around, but specifically in fantasy, what advice do you have for that young generation who want to go into writing fantasy books?
Yeah, you know what? I wish I had someone who was there to give me some advice when I was starting out.
Mhm,
But the advice I would give is whatever is in your mind, outline it, get it on there, and to have fun with it. If you're not having fun, you have to maybe reevaluate what you're going through. But fantasy is
mhm,
fun. Fantasy is an escape, and it should be an escape for not just those who are going to be reading it. It should be an escape for you. It should be very
mhm,
therapeutic. So don't worry about everything else that comes with it. Focus on the story. Focus on using your imagination to make something as original as you can. Don't try to compare it to something else. Don't find some trend that's going to go away in 6 months. Write what's in your heart and then tailor it and then look for your audience and who would like this type of stuff. And try to make some connections that way on social media through friends. Try to get out there, you know, make a presence at certain conventions and just have fun with it. And if you're having fun, how can you say that you've lost it? That you've lost anything? You, if anything, have gained all this joy and experience, and people are going to see that. So that's what I would do. Be as original as you can be, and then the hard stuff you can research later.
Yes, sir. Oh, wonderfully said. And I will not add anything to that. I'm going to close the show on what he said. So, hey, David, man, thank you so much for coming on board to the show, for doing this so quickly too. The turnaround time in which we spoke was probably in less than a week. So thank you for being flexible and for coming on board and for sharing such a beautiful message.
I had an amazing time today. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I can't wait to see more of your videos going forward. Thanks a lot, Osiris.
Yes, of course. Thank you, David. And thank you all again for taking the time out of your day to tune in to today's episode. That's all we got for you all. Stay tuned and stay tuned to David as well. I'll be sharing a lot of his videos with the audience. You all take care, and I'll catch you next time.